has been doing so for 26 years. And Don is here with his wife, Pat. Carl Scholler. Carl's in the West Central Division, sells in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, a 10-year veteran, and is here with his wife, Judy. Dick Snow, come on up. Dick's in the Northwest Division, sells in the Pocatello, Idaho area, and has been for 18 years, and he's here with Kathy. Bill Zitzler. Bill's from Great Lakes Division. He lives in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. He's been with us 9 years and is here with his wife, Louise. Congratulations to all winners, the Circle of Champion winners. We now have a gold jacket to award, and for those of you who haven't attended award ceremonies, the gold jacket is a prestigious level and goes to a rep who for the first time achieves a sales volume of at least 216,000. And we have a jacket tonight for Pat Joray from the South. Pat's from Jacksonville. He's been with us 5 years. He's here with his wife Ellie and with the most beautiful lady in the room, little Hannah. We have another award that's only, I would say, rarely given, has been at least for the last few years, and it's called the Atmos Clock Award. This is an heirloom clock, truly is an heirloom clock, as we found out recently trying to purchase them. But sparing no expense, traveling to the far corners of the earth, we did come up with the clocks. They were too valuable to risk really shipping down here, so they will be sent directly by insured carrier to the winners, and I'd like the winners to come up now and stay up here. And the first is Steve Holmstrom from the West Coast. Steve is from the West Coast Division in Oakland area, 14-year veteran, and is here with his wife Diane. I neglected to say the criteria for the Atmos clock is it's the first time that a representative achieves a $300,000 level of sales, and this year with 4 winners is the most ever that we've had. So we're very happy for that. And the second winner is, again, Pat Joray. The next is a St. Charles telemarketer, Joan Miles. Joan's been with us 6 years, and she's here tonight with her husband, Pat. The next winner is Dan Sachs. Dan sells out of our Marlton office. He's an 8-year veteran and is here with his wife Pam. And these individuals also, of course, qualified for the Circle of Champions plaques, but we thought we'd, as long as we had them up here for this clock award, we'd give them the plaques at this time. So if you'll do that. Okay, thank you.
starting with Jerry Epstein. Mike Height. Steve Holmstrom. Art Howard. Pat Juray. The sales managers have an award. It's called a Star of Excellence, and it's presented to the sales manager each year. Only one sales manager can receive this award, and it's the sales manager who has the best results in recruiting, sales management, training, motivation, and leadership. And we use a lot of factors to judge and try to determine who that sales manager is. In essence, it's the Sales Manager of the Year award. This year's winner joined United Laboratories just a few months before the beginning of the fiscal year, of last year. And when he started with United Laboratories, he was assigned 5 sales representatives in his division, which was the Delta division. And he had a job ahead of him that was extremely difficult. And the task that was put before him was to create a sales management team in the Southwest, and especially in the Delta division, build the sales force in that area, and of course increase sales. And he did an outstanding job of doing all of those things. In fact, he went from 5 sales representatives to 37 sales representatives in his division in his first year, actually less than a year. He went from no sales management staff whatsoever to a sales management team of 4 sales managers and 1 national sales trainer. And during the process, he increased sales by over $1 million in his division. You read about him earlier this year because he was promoted to zone manager, and this year's Star of Excellence winner is Bill Toth.
Congratulations, Bill. It's time now to present the award to the United Telemarketer of the Year. And in a couple of months, I realize that in a couple of months, we will mark the 7th anniversary of the day that one Joan Marie Miles presented herself at United looking for a position in telemarketing. Now I know Bob Sorrentino, many of you know, United's St. Charles telemarketing manager, has achieved a great record of success in his years at United, but I think that high on his list of accomplishments was his good judgment in hiring Joan on January 5th, I think, of 1984. As we look back now, 1984 turned out to be a vintage year because in her 7 years, Joan has won the Telemarketer of the Year award 5 times. And those of you who sell for a living, Joan's peers, I think can appreciate the significance of that record. So I'd like to bring a model up on stage now, a model of consistency, a model of self-discipline, and a model of tough-minded determination. United's Telemarketer of the Year, Joan Miles. Joan has received a magnificent strand of pearls, and after five times it becomes difficult to select an award. I think I'd like to thank Eileen Hooks for doing that task, and also for all the other work, incidentally, putting on this whole thing. I'm sure that Nick, Eric, and everyone connected it would agree that the single most important person to do all this is Eileen Hooks.
To achieve sales that would qualify you to be in the top 12 of all the sales representatives of United Laboratories is no doubt an honor, and we like to every year honor those sales representatives who do indeed achieve that. So what I would like to do, in keeping with tradition, is call the top 12 to the stage and have them have a seat here on the stage, starting at the far end and working down. And we'll start with number 12, Dick Snow. Number 11, Susan Bartolottani. Number 10, Don Saviano. Number 9, Phil Ransel. Number 8, Jerry Epstein. Number 7, Barry Ryan. Number 6, Bill Zitzler. Number 5, Art Howard. Number 4, Dean Cook. Number 3, Mike Height. And number 2, Steve Holmstrom. Go ahead and have a seat. You want me to do it over again? Before I call the number 1 sales representative of the year up, I'd like to say a few things about him. And before I talk about him, I'd like to talk about the award for a moment. And as most of you who know, but a lot of you have not attended our meetings in the past or our awards presentations, so I'll explain what we normally do for the sales representative of the year. We try to find a unique award, something that's different, special, would have extreme meaning to the person that's receiving the award. And this year's award was no different. We searched long and hard trying to find a sales award or an award to present to the sales representative of the year that would fit all of those categories. And after weeks and weeks of searching, Eileen Hooks and myself went into I believe it was a 20-story building downtown Chicago that was at least a block and a half long, and searched through shop after shop, and we found a unique antique shop. And this particular antique shop deals with rare and unusual pieces. And in that shop, we found what we feel is an appropriate award for Pat Juray. What we found was an award. It's a sculpture done in the lost wax method, and it's an antique sculpture. This particular piece is a young boy hunter who's been hunting, and he's received, he's bagged his game, and he has his game around his belt, and he's holding game in the back, and he's got his head bowed, and he's thankful for the success of the hunt. Now, as far as we know, this particular bronze is one of only few that may even exist in the world. In fact, we asked the antique dealer about this particular piece, and one of the things he said was that he had never seen one of these before or since, and so we don't know how many other of these actually exist in the world today. What's unique about it is that it represents a rare moment. It's a thankful hunter giving thanks to God, the provider of all things. To be successful as a hunter, there's several things that a person has to do. They've got to be a good scout, they've got to be a good planner, they've got to be patient, a hunter has to be cunning, a hunter must understand the habits and the surroundings and the traits of the prey that he's hunting. And when a hunter enters into the field, he has to make sure that he doesn't disturb the surroundings, or else his prey is going to detect him and flee. A successful hunter realizes that it's extremely important to keep your eye on the target once you have the target in sight. And then, of course, as all successful hunters will tell you, they enter the field or they enter into the hunt with a prayer deep in their soul. During fiscal 1990, Pat Duray was a good hunter. He planned his year extremely carefully. He studied his territory. He studied his customers. He studied his competition. He established his target early during the year, and once he had his eye on the target, he didn't take his eye off the target. He was careful not to disturb his customers. He gently convinced his customers that the best person to do business with in his territory is Pat Duray. He wasn't distracted by the competition, and he wasn't distracted by the naysayers. And the naysayers are those people who say you can't, you can't, you can't. And especially those who say once you reach $150,000 to $200,000 a year in sales, it's impossible to increase your sales 20 or 30%. That didn't distract him at all. Instead, Pat continued to press forward day after day. He increased his sales over the previous year by 53%. His sales went from $199,000 to over $300,000 in 1 year. His income increased by over $30,000. And I can tell you for a fact, it wasn't the results of, these results weren't achieved because of one particular customer or one particular account. He worked hard for every order that he wrote. And that's evidence in the fact that during the year, he had a weekly order average of over 13 orders per week. As with most good hunters, Pat was motivated by the desire to provide for his family. That's his real motivation. If he had a $4,000 Monday, he didn't stop in the middle of the week and play golf, which happens to be a passion of his. If he had a $4,000 Tuesday, if he had $10,000 by Thursday, he still didn't stop. Instead, Pat felt that he owed his family every single day that he could give them, to give them the very best that he could give them, and he continued to work. And his golf waited until the weekend. He used every bit of the 5 days that he could possibly muster. And that was another reason why his order average was over 13 orders per week. I've learned that Pat understands very clearly the value of there's a place and time for everything. And one of the things that he told me in talking to him was that he felt that he owed it to his family to be the best provider that he could be. Pat, as you have seen, received his service award this evening for 5 years. He's only been with the United Laboratories for 5 years. And now he's the sales rep of the year. Last year he was number 11. He moved all the way up to number 1. He had never sold chemicals before joining United. In fact, he had only sold directly to homeowners for about 6 months before joining United. That was the extent of his sales experience. So I think everybody here would probably agree that the accomplishments that he's made this year, and especially during the last 5 years, would prove the part of a successful hunter being swift and cunning. He met those two as well. Now I know that I could stand here personally and say a lot about Pat Duray this evening, and I could continue to talk and talk and talk. I've learned a lot about him in these last few weeks. One thing I do know is that he is a thankful hunter. Pat has a deep relationship with God that he uses every day, and he feels that when he goes into the field, he doesn't go alone. And his beliefs are the reason for his business ethics. He has a strong business ethic that his customers clearly see. And when I think of Pat, I think of a proverb in the Bible, and it's Proverbs 12:27, and it says this: "A lazy man does not get that which he hunts, but if he works hard, he'll receive a fortune." And I think that amply describes Pat. So, as we call him up, I'd like to wrap up a few things about Pat. He's a family man, he's a very successful salesman, and most definitely he's a thankful hunter and the sales representative of the year.
Few things I've jotted down here. First of all, the dinner was excellent. I was so disappointed. I got used to those yodelers over in Switzerland, and they blessed me the last time, but I didn't see them up here, so I was a little disappointed. That was a joke, a real joke. Really, a lot of people talked to me this week, and they said that, you know, great year, incredible year, unbelievable year, miracle year. And, you know, I give all the credit to the Lord. He's a friend that's sticking closer than a brother. And so I want to give him the glory. Nick almost fired me about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was negotiating with him. And he looked at me, and I got the impression he had the gold and the rules, so I just did what he said. But anyway, it was a good merge. And the only thing I want to say about United Laboratories really hit me in Hawaii. I walked into a little shop, a little mom and pop shop, and there was macadamia nuts all over the place. There must have been 5 or 6 rows of macadamia nuts in a little store. And I said to the fellow, I said, my gosh, I know it's none of my business, but boy, you sell a lot of macadamia nuts. Don't you? And he said, no. He said, I don't sell too many. He said, now that fella that sells me macadamia nuts, he says, boy, can he sell macadamia nuts. But I was enthused after that, because I said to myself, now that's what I like about United. You can sell things to people whether they need them or not. A couple people I do want to thank. I want to thank my wife. She's been very supportive, and Nick, for letting me work for the company. Barry Ryan, who's given me a lot of tips over the years. By the way, his new book, How I Double Ship My Way to the Top, is out at all black market bookstores everywhere. And my manager, Pete Cherry, who is brilliant and his integrity, his charm, humor. Pete, I can't read this last word. Anyway, thank you very much.
Next year, baseball.
Normally, each year at the Old Winter Circle Seminar, we passed out bonus checks, but none of you would wait this long for them, so we had to mail them out much earlier. But you'd be interested to know, of course, everyone, every sales representative in this room would have earned a bonus check or we wouldn't be here. But you'd be interested to know, much to my dismay, that we paid out the highest amount of bonuses we've ever paid in United's history. Just a little over.
Okay, what should I do as far as this routing? What about if I use red with the
Yes,
yellow?
I think that you, well, I think you would.
I think I
use
had
yellow
that.
for the
I didn't want to bear
highlight.
too many.
Yellow for the highlight.
But I would wait.
How long
But I would
trailer?
just
Do,
put it here.
fill in all the big areas and then highlight later.
Yeah, so what should I do, circle here?